What's going on? What's up, chill folks? February 18th at 6:30 p.m. A dreary winter's evening. Good to see you, Susan B. and Sweet Tea. Vivalda, welcome in. I've got some things to talk about, my friends, tonight in relation to Jack and Lily. Primarily focused around talking shit about Daniel, but it's interesting. It's interesting. The very first sentence, actually more than one, but the very first sentence that the RCMP were presented with by way of Malaya on the phone had a red flag in it. And it's the word may. M-A-Y. What the hell does a person say may be or may have in an emergency situation where you require assistance from 911? So you're telling the 911 operator that you don't know. When you say may, you're saying you don't know. This would have been a perfect spot from an investigative standpoint to follow up with questions from the introductions were brought before the courts in relation to a period of time which was roughly, now don't quote me, I can't remember, it's a period of time, roughly about 2 years, their relationship and the time which they spent primarily in Janie's RV on Gerlach Road. So from what investigators have come to learn about the case by way of Malaya has painted a picture where the RCMP have had no choice but to lay charges of SA, assault, and forcible confinement on Daniel. And he's just waiting to be arraigned on March 2nd, an anniversary, 10-month anniversary of the date that they called in Jack and Lily missing. It's staggering that right from the get-go, Malaya said may have. Then she followed that up with the possibly. She blamed it on something that isn't real either, and the possibility of the kids having autism. And they have possible autism. And as a parent, when that comes up and you don't know the other person, you take that into consideration because you don't know any better. Well, come to find out all of this time, the more that we've gotten to learn about Jack and Lily and those who were close to them, that this was just an excuse, one that became favorable in the household due to the apparent neglect and the severe neglect that was going on. It was an excuse to Children's Aid. And it was primarily used as a shield for people when they asked questions, as opposed to, going through the process and being engaged with your pediatrician and getting the proper recommendation from them to take this to the next step. If you're getting a diagnosis, that would have been your priority as a parent, number one in all of this, and it wasn't. The priority for you guys in all of this was to walk around and use it as a shield because it's not the first time it's come up. And the way that you've represented it, you see what I did at the end of that last represented? I think there's an extra ED there. The way that you represented it shows that your intent is to shield yourselves from any scrutiny, as though that's a thing, rather than telling people that, there's autism involved and we're just waiting for the diagnosis. Oh no, it's possible autism. What the fuck is that, friends? Are you following? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Do you smell that? That sticks out in my mind so significant in this circumstance, and it's despicable by way of Malaya. She would rather lie than do the right thing by her children. Why is that? Why is that? On May 2nd, 2025, Pictou County RCMP were dispatched to report of a missing child in Lansdowne, Nova Scotia. The following is a summary of the dispatch information. Malaya reported her children, Lily and Jack, may have left the residence. May. So you've come out and said it in two different ways now, Malaya, that you don't even believe the words that are coming out of your mouth. What is it you're calling the RCMP for? You want them to come figure out all of your problems, but you want to pretend that you don't know what they are. Lily and Jack may have left the residence and were missing. She said they were both possibly autistic and were known to wander. Oh, how mysterious. Do you have that written down? You should have ad-libbed. She said their boots were gone. She reported them missing at 10:01 and the cops arrived on scene at 10:27. That's it. But there's so much. So that tells you from the get-go, it tells me that she probably wants to believe because she doesn't know as a parent any better, or as an individual. She's ignorant to what ASD is in the first place. No, you probably have to reset. Can anybody else hear me? I thought I see my thing bouncing. Brian, you got to turn your volume up, I hope. Yeah, Sweet Tea hears me. Coming in here. Are you on mute? You fucking douche. Yeah. Just give it a refresh there, Brian. But you probably can't hear me. Anyway, okay. Oh, shit. I'll stay on topic. How about that? Fall for that one all the time. Because it happens sometimes, right? That's why you keep falling for it. Not because you're an idiot. It's the life you have to live with something like Streamlabs. Anyway. So right away, from the get-go, the report to police is off. They don't know. And they want to continue to pretend that they don't know what it was that they were doing, what it was the kids were doing. Just this loose, distanced description of vague audio, just hearing, thinking that you heard the kids in the morning, rather than really any genuine interaction. It's brutal. Shannon, thank you very much, darling. I appreciate that super sticker. I love Daniel's face. Let me put it on mute right here. Can you see that? Oh, Wolf. Hey, check it out, everybody. Look at your screen. Wolfie. Robbie Haynes. Whatever your name is. Daniel Simp. You subscribed. I'm so happy to have you back. Please, could you email me all kinds of your different theories that you have tomorrow? Excellent. Let's see.
Martel is facing charges of sexual assault, and forcible confinement. Martel is the stepfather of missing children Lily and Jack Sullivan. RCMP have confirmed they arrested 34-year-old Martel on Monday. Police say the victim is an adult, but are not providing any more details. Martel was living with Lily, Jack, and their mother when the children went missing from his family home in Lansdowne, Nova Scotia.
Look at that fucking hellhole. Look at that shithole. What happened? What happened? It used to be a half decent place. Respectable, clean. Why is there shit all over the place? Must be the bear. Whatever it is. You guys came up with this weird, wacky idea to pull back all the topsoil and flatten it out. Put that RV in there. You guys are so weird. That's so weird. And the first thing that you need to do is put that fence up. It probably has more to do with the fact of the dog that you've swapped out than anything. You know, I wonder if that dog that they swapped out, you know, if you know who can really hear everything that goes on around the property is that dog. The dog. The dog isn't going to get in front of the CBC camera and lie in that sense. The dog hears all of the fucking and all of the fighting, all of the weird shit that you get on with at all hours of the night, Danny. And that's what keeps old Janie up. That's why she has to figure out or let everybody know that there's things that she needs to ignore and that are your business and not hers because you're adults. That's just the way that she justifies it in her mind when she has to sit there and listen to the shit throughout the night. Now, that sort of noise probably gets the dog just right wound up. So what happens if and when a dog like any aggressive dog hears people fighting? They usually get riled up. So what happens when the dog hears you and Malaya fighting and all you know, the only thing that usually happens is the yelling, which the dogs would hear and would rile them up because, of course, to them, they could be getting into that fight or flight mode. They could be getting ready to get involved, protect the herd, protect the pack. I wonder what happened. I wonder what you guys did. It has to be the worst of the worst. Just a clapping seal. Good to see you. The RV's half buried in the side of the embankment. It's bizarre. If you were trying to build an earth house, it wouldn't be bizarre, but they're not doing that. You know, you can dig something into the side of the ground, but you wouldn't want to move in a wood stove. You wouldn't need any heat because you'd be able to keep so much heat in and insulated. Or maybe you could bury it even deeper and use it as a cold cellar and store your food long term in it. It's kind of shitty though, considering that you're moving in a polluted environment. The thing was polluted in 1979. You know, it's been polluted all that time. That's what you need the wood stove for, to burn up all the molds and all of the nastiness in the air that gets you sick. Especially Janie, because she's just such, a Cro-Magnon like that. No, Tammy, I don't. The dogs, if the dog was involved, the only way the dog would be involved is if Daniel and Janie used it as an attack dog. But I'm not even willing to incorporate that. No matter what it is, Daniel's criminally responsible for it. He can play that fucking game with the investigators. But I mean, it's just a missing dog right now. I have a hard time believing that it was all the dog's fault and they're going to bat to lie for the dogs. It doesn't work out like that. No matter what, it's the owner, it's Daniel and Janie who are responsible, no matter if there was canine involvement or not. We're not any sort of excuse or any sort of, story after the fact takes away from the responsibility. You're just trying to find an out. No, there is no other out in this circumstance. There's a reason why they're fucking lying. And it has 100% to do with the culpability in this situation, to the yet to be slapped across the face new charges. Don't worry, Danny. You'll be the first to know. You'll be the first to know what day that is. Guarantee you. Clink, clink, just like you were the last time. Oh, by the way, we have breaking news. We've just arrested Danny Martell 4 days ago. Breaking. Oh, shit. Right, Ginger. The adults are responsible for the care and control of their dogs as well. The police would have seen the dog and heard it barking. That's what I mean, Lori. Especially the responding officers. I'm not too consumed by it. But it comes up every now and then in conversation.
Last May, the woods surrounding the home was searched for days, and RCMP Major Crimes has been conducting an extensive investigation. But little is known about what happened to the children. And
Allie Thompson's got her Daffy Duck on. Very positive. She's got a lisp, a hardcore lisp.
so far, the case has not turned criminal. Earlier this month, RCMP Staff Sergeant Rob McCammon said none of the children's family members are...
Hey, what do you think there, Allie, about your misrepresentation in an emergency situation of the description and gender of a mass shooter? This situation in Pictou. I didn't think so. Thuffer and thuckatash.
Are suspects.
I wouldn't say anybody's a suspect. Again, we continue to gather information and whatever evidence that we are able to find.
Yeah, Chelsea Grace says, "Sup, baby, yo, what's up, girl?" And, well, the dog, she says, was the entire reason law enforcement couldn't enter the RV. Thank you for reminding me. True that. You know, the swapping out of the dog in that sense was really an afterthought in an early attempt by Janie to swab the world's minds of how disastrous we'll call the crime scene looked at the time in comparison. She got bought, a gallon of wood stain. She stained parts of the fence and the chicken coop, the wood shed. And here's this little fluffy dog, this little pup that comes walking out, and she's talking about her dog. She's introduced it. It's really not a thing. It's just interesting. It's an interesting observation that that dog's no longer around. Vivalda, thank you very much, darling, for the super sticker. I appreciate this.
And we'll make our decisions based on that, but we are not in a position to really comment on suspects or anything like that at this time.
The mysterious nature of their disappearance has garnered international media attention. Martel has spoken publicly about what happened that day and the months that have followed. Martel is due in Pictou Provincial Court on March 2nd. Ali Thompson, CBC News, Halifax.
Yeah, so there is a bit of funny business because old Janie took the time to talk to Ali here from the CBC in that interview that she approached the CBC with. There's a reason. It wasn't like it was one-sided in that sense. She had to clear the air because she wasn't there to lie to you, everybody. And she took the time to talk about the dog situation because it got brought up in Belinda's interview in the media, in the papers in that sense. And she had some defending of herself to do back at that point in time. So Tucker was the replacement, in other words, right, Esther? And she was doing a lot of insinuating without coming out and directly saying anything. So there's there's a lot of evasion at work here. Holy shit, Sweet Tea. You love you and Charity very much. Thank you, Sweet Tea. I appreciate that. Mwah! May good things come to you and yours. Those RCMP must not have been able to wrap their heads around her refusing to let them look and two little ones missing. And she says, no, can't come in here. Who does that? Exactly. When we get to watch that body cam footage, when it comes out after the fact, it's going to be a different world in our minds in that sense. There's so many red flags since the get-go about just by way of Daniel and Janie and Malaya being not only psychologically distancing, but physically distancing from the scene, and it not really lining up with what it is that they called for. As the responding officer, my first question in that sense, there would have been problems, but you still have to go through the priority is Jack and Lily. So they got to that point for a reason, and it had everything to do with what Malaya and Danny and Janie were trying to reenact, we'll say. Is that a good word for it? They were trying to paint that illusion at the time. You needed, at what point did you need more people to come search? It never sits right. You want people to believe, even in the moment, you can think back and look, you don't even have to be there to know something's not right. They don't want to talk to anybody. They want to paint this huge illusion, and when you ask questions, you get attacked. You get yelled at in that sense. People had to bail on them. It never made sense. You're supposed to answer those questions yourself in your mind from their perspective. You kept calling people to come over and help you search for the kids that you lost yesterday. They must be around here someplace type of thing. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, number one? That's in contrast with the story that you pushed to the RCMP about the kids being in the camper and then outside and then disappear. Dude, never happened. The fact that you insist that it happened that way, is going to hurt you in court. These are the things You had to tell them something. You had to tell them something, and it wasn't exactly preferred. That's why it sounds so ludicrous, and there's no context. And you don't want to associate any sort of time because there's nothing worth remembering.
And I come home and the dogs were already, on scene, and they were there for about an hour before I got there. I didn't know the exact day when the arrival was going to happen. It was even a surprise to me, but at the end of the day, everything's ruled out there, and I hope this is speculation, turns elsewhere.
So you arrive home after visiting with your daughter.
Mm-hmm.
They're there, and then what happens?
They're there, and then, I walk up, greet them, and meet them for the very first time. It's like, can I come close to you and the dogs? And he said, oh yeah. And then...
It's like the guy's taking a shit right in the middle of his interview. What the hell is going on here? You got your hands moving this way. You can't make eye contact. You're shuffling. You're not even confident in the things that you're saying. You're just trying to pan it off onto the cops doing something wrong. Here it comes. Here's an update from Danny. What a fucking idiot. Kent, this is your buddy. This is the guy that you idolize. You worship.
Investigators were there, or one investigator, and, had a conversation with him, and they said, yeah, we're going to do the property. I said, perfect, let's do every square inch. And that's when
perfect.
It began with, where do you think we should search? And in my mind, that's...
Let me answer that question. Let me answer that question on your behalf, asshole. I've been doing a lot of thinking in regards to this little bitch. And in this circumstance, wherever the disposal site is, in my opinion, of course, wherever the disposal site is a place where Daniel has frequented often in the past. And in the past, often, whether it's in visual eyesight of a place where he visits often, I'm sure the RCMP are along the same lines of thought in my mind. But the point to all of that is I'm probably sure that it's not going to be too far off of something you're going to be able to triangulate through digital forensics after forming a pattern of behavior from his tweaking ass, should you have a reason to recognize one, and all of the, depending on how far back you want to search on his geolocates or a particular device or Malaya's, but him in particular. Danny has everything to do with disposing of these bodies, and it's written all over him. There's no fucking possible way that he would relinquish any sort of control. It would just be against his nature in this high drama, high stakes moment. You can't, unless you have access to a boat or a deep water port and the right situation, there's no way that he would dispose of them in the water, in my opinion. I think it's just around, it could be a number of places, because I don't know all of his patterns, but these are some things where I'm saying that you could pick up if you had access to all of his electronics in that sense, from an investigative standpoint. But as for profiling, if you will, loosely him, I believe he'd be the type of person who, in that moment, he's more apt in an emergency situation. If Daniel had to get rid of two bodies, would he prefer to know where those things are so he could keep an eye on them at all times? Know where they are, that way he knows that he's not about to get caught? Or would you give it up to randomness and risk having the children be discovered and God knows when, and you're just waiting for that to happen because of things like trying to dispose of it improperly by sinking it just offshore, off the beach, and being susceptible to the shoreline effect. You know what happens to things where you just throw in the water? They come back onto the beach. They come back, they get washed up, they get discovered in time, they get hooked up in nets. Nothing's ever perfect. And plus, getting out there, I think in his state of mind, I don't think that that's the first thing that he would have done because just of the level of paranoia he would have been under due to the substances he was consuming. I think he would have chosen to do it in land that he was familiar with, that was preferably owned and he had a reason to be there in the first place. You know, it's not difficult to hide your tracks in that environment if you're needing to dig a hole. There's all kinds of land that he has access to around there. Nero VX, if he gets found guilty in RSO, will he not be able to live with children? Well, it's not going to be a real problem. I don't think you have to worry about that, Nero. It's not an issue.
These guys are the best. They're supposed to be the best. They should have mapped the terrain, looked at satellite imagery, and found every single speck
Mapped the terrain? What are you talking about, fuckface?
on that property that need to be searched. And they should have had, better coordination with reviewing those maps and people involved from the start with search and rescue to determine areas they need to search.
What happened? Did you tell them where to search or advise them, or what did you say?
I gave them like any indication that, soft grounded areas like the marsh, the ponds, anything like that. But I said you're welcome to do it anywhere. They did inside the house. They did, everywhere. Vehicles. They did everything they could in the amount of time that they were given to do it.
So what did they search when they came inside? How did that go?
Well, when they took the dogs inside the house, they ran from one side of the house to the other, waiting for the dogs to.
Think about that. Oh, we got him here at the house. What, dude? You're talking about two strips of this is two small RVs. Hardly everywhere that you need to search for these particular children or could be a possible dump site in that circumstance. They wouldn't even share with you that information. All you had to say, in all actuality, if you will, this is a non-topic. This is a situation where, they're going through the process. They brought the dogs here. That's fine. You would imagine that would have been just procedure. Does it really need this probing? Do we need this dumbing down? Do we need any of this non-related garbage? Who the fuck cares? Anything. He's so desperate. He's latching on to anything. But in doing so, he gives up so much because every time that you talk, Daniel, you take away and add more suspicion to yourself. You don't ever want to talk about your relationship, what life was like. You want people to believe something, so therefore you say something. Oh, I did everything. I do this and that for them, but I don't want to talk about them. You fucked yourself already. You had this fantastic relationship that you're so close, but you can't talk about any of it because it's gonna impede the investigation somehow. No. That's such garbage, son. And these SA charges tell you so. That's embarrassing. Oof. Oh, fuck. What a kick to the nuts. There goes those stories.
Bark or pick up a scent and nothing was located. Same with all the property. There was no indication of anything. They didn't do it once. They took in both dogs. They did the whole thing. They did like up the road. They did the blanket site. They did pipeline where the boot print was found. I mean, they exhausted every single area within Lansdowne.
Yeah, the pipeline trail right here where we're standing.
Mm-hmm. They did. I mean, they spent every hour they could searching. Not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Chelsea. Some rural areas would just leave boats for community use in circumstances like this. It's a damn possibility. Water's a possibility. I'm just saying I don't believe in that moment he's going to do that into the ocean necessarily. Just the first deterrent is the fact that he's going to get seen doing something and being somewhere. And in light of what Bradley Wong says, I think it's probably closer than we realize. But you have to go through each of the scenarios. But, you know, hiding something in water is a fine if you know what it is that you're doing. I think he has more of an idea of where they could be. We'll have him answer that for us, preferably, right? Like in that moment, I'm saying in this circumstance and differentiating that, Chelsea darling, with my opinions based on this particular circumstance in the time frame. That seems most logical in that sense. Not in theory. In theory, if you had time to think about it, something I don't believe Daniel, they didn't have time in this circumstance, I believe. They acted right away. They had to act right away because they wanted to get away with any of this right away. Put all of the blame on Malaya. And it was a continuation of what they were fighting about months before. It's just escalated. Will he be appointed a lawyer, Mrs. Bartman? If he needs one. By the rate he's going, he's telling on himself, so he's really admitting to everything. And he's just going to plead guilty to whatever they give him, I would expect. I would hope, because there's no possibility of it not being him. It's going to be that solid against him. There's no other reasonable explanation. Because everything that you bring up, you have to put back from a legal standpoint in sense of the story that they came out with that we all know about, which is in the submission for those warrants, their initial statements and the story that they've presented law enforcement since the beginning. Janie McKenzie said Lily and Jack are her step-grandchildren. Why is she so eager to mislead the cops right away? The first sentence in the law enforcement introducing her is as a step-grandchild. You know, that's because she probably presented law enforcement that way, that she was a caring individual. She was caring in the moment in that sense. Wait until she opens her mouth. And she's got to be acting. Think about how she acts normally. Think about in the moment how different. She must have been acting very suspiciously, in my opinion, especially now that we've gotten to know her. Imagine what she's going to look like on those body cams. I wonder how that interaction with that cop went. You can't go in that RV. Last fall, Daniel said root strength, he already had the best lawyers, maybe in prison. I've got all the best lawyers, guys. Yeah, that's the type of bullshit lies that he was probably feeding Malaya. If I was the RCMP, I would love just to search back right before they even met in their electronic devices, and you know it exists. Yeah, Esther. I don't know that Wade in that statement was he was just using it as an example. I think he was more, without questioning him or talking to him any further. I don't know. I just keep it open. I'm sure that I would love to ask him his top 10 places that he thinks that Daniel will go. But he doesn't know Daniel that well in that sense. Like, think about a 50-acre farm, for example. There's all kinds of places. And really, if you're in a farmland, there's, it's going to be easy to disturb the soil potentially. But you can always cover that up. It's not going to necessarily stand out. Probably got him over at Durwood's. A couple big 50-gallon, or maybe a drum, a 45-gallon drum of something. Probably Old Spice aftershave cologne that Durwood wears. You can get it depends what happened, Trail Hiker. It depends what happened. I mean, premeditated means that you planned it out. I don't think necessarily that this was planned out. This is just a result of the toxicity of the environment that the kids were living in. If you can somehow tie those in together illegally, then maybe. But I think it's separate in that sense. It's not any worse in my mind. It's just as bad. It's worse in my mind. You're murdering your own children. No, we don't do psychics in here. No, we don't do that kind of shit in here. That's just another form of manipulation. There'll be no more talk like that.
Planning or anything like that. I mean, they were boots on the ground, just doing whatever they could.
You were mentioning that you had a bit of a tense reaction with one of the dog handlers. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it was a little bit heartbreaking and saddening to hear what the words that came out of his mouth. And for me, all I was trying to do was ever help. Because that's all I've been doing is cooperating, and to see that and hear that, I mean, it was pretty saddening.
What did he say?
He said your Thursday and all the way leading into Friday morning, there's not enough detail. And I said to him that Thursday was just an ordinary day until I woke up on Friday morning. And that's when, like, life changed. There was nothing like life changing on Thursday.
Think about how off that is. First of all, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, let's begin with Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday were all non-typical days. You should be able to remember all of the events each and every day because it's out of the ordinary. All right? That's how things stick out to us when things are out of the ordinary, aren't typical. They're easier to remember, and he wants to play it off in the exact opposite. Listen, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, the kids you called in sick to school. This was a day unlike any other to begin with for the last 48 hours before you called the RCMP, fun boy. Nobody's talking about your personal perspective on life. Nobody's asking you Daniel, and you're just incorporating it into why there's nothing worth or nothing relevant. Don't you think when you have no answers that everything is important? Every moment? God, you don't have any idea what could have happened. Therefore, everything is important. And you're here telling everybody how unimportant it is. Danny, why did the kids get called in sick for work and then the next thing, or sick for school, the next thing you know, these same sick kids are outside playing and laughing and carrying on? You want us to believe this through your nonsensical alibi, Janie? But the kids weren't feeling good. They don't sound very sick to me. Why were they really called in sick from school? And then why did you proceed to tow them around Hell's Half Acre for the next 2 days? Really, it was all unnecessary. Why? Is that a demonstration of some of the overbearing nature of your dynamic, I guess? Your toxicity, the shitty part of your relationship? Why the hell is everybody going? If only one person really needs to go and get things, what else are you doing out there? What's the real point of being out and about like that? Especially when the kids are home sick. Everything is out of the ordinary because the kids being homesick would close up your normal routine. Or should you have a job, but you don't? Tammy, if MB called school and counted them out, she should have got them breakfast or gave them meds. She went back to bed like nothing wrong. Not a very good mom. Well, they do that quite often. So after PA day, it's more probably in this circumstance representative of the poor mental health of the parents rather than anything wrong with the kids. Maybe you had to let the black eye lesson down that he claims to have given her on Wednesday. Or that Tonka truck incident, Daniel's hand. Hey, do you want this, darling? Go ahead. You can have it. Put it in the garbage, please.
And all the way leading into Friday morning, there's not enough detail. And I said to him that Thursday was just an ordinary day until I woke up on Friday morning. And that's when...
That statement right there directly contradicts the kids even being called in sick for school in the first place. No, quite the opposite. It was out of the ordinary that the kids were sick from school. Their usual routine was disrupted. They were home rather than being where they should have been at school, especially at that time of the morning. This all happened right after. Interesting. Why did you call them in sick again?
Like life changed. There was nothing like life changing on Thursday. It was a normal day. So, therefore, there was nothing detailed that needed to be remembered that day until Friday morning. So,
look at old Danny boy re-rating the instruction manual. Therefore, there's nothing worth remembering. That's quite a jump, isn't there? Is it? Talk about giving yourself away. Therefore, there's nothing worth remembering? No, that's not how it goes there, fuckface. That's not how it goes at all, no matter how hard you wish it did. That's such a weak assertion, I think the term goes. Such a weak assertion, you fucking knob.
it was a normal day.
That is so telling. Like all of the reasons why he thinks he's not a suspect and he's innocent in all of this, none of it has to do with any normal police procedure like clearing the parents or clearing publicly the people who they know and have ruled out as being suspects. That's the first priority. You don't even bring that up, Danny. You have to interpret it through a piece of paper that you think somebody would have checked if they thought you were guilty. Oh, fuck, if life were that easy. What a douche. What a complete idiot. When you do things like this, you tell on yourself. You're guilty, asshole. You're guilty. Who is this fooling, Danny? You. As long as you believe it, you can keep this going. But even he's admitting these charges he took right in the crotch. He took them right in the midsection. Uh-oh.
So, therefore, there was nothing detailed that needed to be remembered that day until Friday morning.
So he was...
Yeah. Officer, there was nothing worth remembering for all of that time period. I don't need to answer that question because there was nothing worth remembering. That's like telling the professor on the test in the answer section that they're stupid and this question is ridiculous and not worth answering, and expecting like a perfect mark on it. Well, that's not the way tests work. That's not the way this goes. Heaven's sakes. Danny. Wow. Are you with me, everybody? Are you with me? That's just nothing worth remembering. Therefore, fucking guilty.
Thursday was just an ordinary day until I woke up on Friday morning. And that's when, like, life changed. There was nothing like life changing on Thursday. It was a normal day. So, therefore, there was nothing detailed that needed to be remembered that day.
Oh. Holy shit. That's some serious Terrence Howard level bullshit right there. That is a retard alert there, Robin Edwards. Absolutely. Thank you very much for pointing that out.
Uh-oh, retard alert. Retard alert, class.
You are a douchebag. That's right, a douchebag.
Douchebag.
Absolutely.
Until Friday morning.
So he was mentioning something along the lines of something happened Thursday night,
Yeah.
and your story isn't matching up?
Yeah, well, not just matching, it didn't have enough detail for him, personally. And then that's when I asked him, do you know anything on the case? And he said,
Yeah, he's really letting sin. You see that self-soothing he's doing there? The touching of himself? Oh, he's just so open and courteous. Look at all the helicopter hands. Danny. Oh, I feel sorry for me. Man, it's just so hard going through this. And can you guys imagine? I'm innocent? Am I being charged for something that I didn't do?
he said, not really. I've seen you on the news once. And that kind of alarmed me, or, shocking, because you're having somebody that's trying to get you to admit to something and they don't know any details. So therefore, my Thursday didn't have any details. Your knowledge.
You know what he's describing right there is every situation that a suspect is in. And the right suspect. They're headed in the right direction because you're admitting to the cops that they don't have any of the information that you have about all of this. You're otherwise indicating to investigators that you have all of this information that they don't have. And you do that by saying and highlighting what it is that the RCMP don't know. What would it matter? What's it matter? Shouldn't all this be just a great effort on their part? They have to do this. This is their job. And next question, please. Think about this. Look at the hands. YMCA, only backwards. It's like the YMCA song in reverse.
Shocking, because you're having somebody that's trying to get you to admit to something and they don't know any details.
Trying to get you to admit to something. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it tell you that the cops recognize that you have all kinds of information that you're unwilling to cooperate and hand over to them? Like, people who are innocent have no problems talking in details and answering questions in an acceptable manner in a situation like this, and that's something that you're unwilling to do. That's what it comes down to.
So therefore, my Thursday didn't have any details. Your knowledge of the case didn't have any details. So you shouldn't try to force something on me without knowing any of the background.
So he's telling you why. That's fucking amazing to me. You're like telling on yourself, Daniel. Because you refused, you're using as a justification and excuse the reason why you're withholding information. Therefore, because I'm withholding this information about Thursday that I'm unwilling to open up about, you're refusing to answer the question. And you're slipping, you're fucking with people's minds. You're refusing to answer the question about what it is that you guys did, going right back to Thursday evening, right back to 6 o'clock. Really before that. But it just goes blank around 7 or 8. And you're refusing to fill in those time periods. Okay? You're refusing to put what it was that you were doing on this abnormal day that you would have remembered because you remembered everything else up until a certain point. And the closer you got to the point that we're talking now, you just seem to have forgotten. Figure that out. Explain that, Danny. No, that's you not wanting to attribute anything. It's not a I can't remember or an approximation or I was doing this. It's that the information and your refusal to answer it is the answer itself. And it's not an acceptable replacement for the real information. It's not a therefore they shouldn't be suspicious. He's trying to spin it. You don't spin it and say therefore you have no reason to question it. They have every reason to question this particular part of the story. And that's exactly where the case begins against you, fuckface. That's complete and utter bullshit what it is that you just said. You can't explain it. You won't explain it. It was intentionally deceptive, unclear. It's a 1 + 1 = 5 scenario you're presenting. It makes no sense. No, the reason why they're suspicious is because you won't cooperate. That's where you stopped cooperating. Where you will not, and you just admitted to the world that you will not share what you really did in that time frame. And your justification for it is because there was nothing worth remembering, as opposed to we must have all been here in a suspended animation just waiting for your life to get exciting again. No, life went on. Time went on. See, he doesn't want to answer it because they could then turn around and go straight back to Malaya and try to catch them up in all of this circumstance. He doesn't even want to get caught up. Therefore, he's not giving them an answer. More like. Because she wants to pretend that she was in bed sleeping and she doesn't know what time you came to bed. You were up going to clean and you were up fixing things. God knows what the hell that is. What were you really doing? Cleaning up after whatever you did to Jack and Lily. That's the real answer here. That's the only reason that you would have to avoid, especially considering you guys called the RCMP in and all of this. You think that you would have shown some sort of gratitude towards them. Instead, you can just repeat back and parrot back the CBC's own talking points.
On the news once, and that kind of alarmed me, or shocking, because you're having somebody that's trying to get you to admit to something and they don't know any details. So therefore, my Thursday didn't have any details, your knowledge of the case didn't have any details, so you should.
He's showing you his frustration. No, asshole. You don't want to tell the investigators what it was you were doing. Your non-answer is your answer, and that's the way that you presented it to them. Oh, fuck, talk about something working against them in court. That's really going to work against you. I wonder if the judge will agree with you. Not. Hey, fuck, dude. Can you imagine him saying that in front of, like, a prosecuting attorney? Man, this is going to be a cakewalk. It wouldn't even have to be the good one. It'll probably be his assistant. Oh, shit. How could you keep a straight face in that courtroom if you presented that argument on the stand? I don't think your public defender would even fall for that. He'd probably tell you to shut up.
Didn't try to force something on me without knowing any of the background.
Did he make any accusations at you?
Yeah.
Ooh, the background. That's exactly what we continue to figure out about the background of your relationship and your dynamics here. You're so sensitive to it, kind of like your substance abuse disorder. All of this has everything to do with what happened to Jack and Lily. And you're really telling the world that nothing is wrong in your relationship at this point in time. And, it really has nothing to do with you. Why don't you just come out and say it? You're so hesitant to commit to anything linguistically. That's why you can't play this part. This audition is over, Daniel Martel. See, there's a reason you can't play the innocent individual in all of this, is because when it comes down to it, you can't even believe your own fucking bullshit lies in order to make it convincing for people. Something's getting in your way, the cognitive load. It's stressful knowing and trying to lie in front of the world about what it is that you really did to Jack and Lily. Think about all of the other lies aside from just that specific that he's presented to people. Everything he comes forward with is deceptive and a lie. Helicopter Grandma saying, there's the arms crossed again. Nice bracelets there, DM. Did you get them from your buddy Kent? Absolutely he did. Absolutely. Thanks, Kent. Thank you. What a fucking idiot. Ken, I can't wait to throw you down that fucking hill. I'm going to cut the brakes on that wheelchair of yours, boy. I'm going to open the back of a U-Haul truck. Then I'm going to turn it parallel with an intersection. I'm going to park it right in the middle. I'm going to wheel you all the way up to the top, like one of those old cars with the springs in the back wheels. And I'm going to wind up the hill. And then I'm going to let it down. I'm going to look for like a 17-degree slope. And I'm going to put a Red Bull in your hands, and I'm going to fucking kick you down that hill right into the side of that U-Haul van. And I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel with the title, Told You So.
He did. He said that Thursday didn't have enough details, and we think you did something to the kids Thursday night. And I asked him, like, what are you talking about? Like, I just ran through whole Thursday and Wednesday with you. Like, we just spent the last 20 minutes talking. And there's not enough detail because I thought it was an ordinary day.
How skitty, how twitchy, sketchy did Danny look there? Think about how he got out of that statement. So you just spent all the time telling us the reason, and then you quick sum it up in like 3 words. Danny. How is it you don't believe me, officer? I just spent 20 minutes trying to convince you of what it is that I'm saying. He's reenacting and expressing what is going to be really effing interesting to watch on body cam. High fives. High fives around on this one. That's going to be a great conversation. Imagine the look on Danny's face. Danny's just such a confident liar, though. But you can't always be confident. Like, you're confident all the time. That's going to be a real problem for you, and it is here.
In the end, like, cadaver dogs were there. They went through, and the story continues. In conclusion to all this, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. I'm still helping investigators at every turn we could possibly think of, and hopefully we see some kind of resolution soon, or some kind of outcome that's positive.
How's that communication in your relationship with RCMP now, 5 months later, and then given that interaction a few weeks ago?
At this point, I go to them. They don't ever come to me. It's just like I have to contact them, I have to go to them, and it's been like that for a little while now.
You're kind of like Wolfie in my comment section. Oh, yeah, I got this new fucking theory. I want to run it by you. Please, thoughts? Let me know what you think about my new theory. Oh. Cool, don't tell anybody.
Fuck you! Shut your fucking mouth!
Because I've given them so many leads, and there's only so much I can do. I was told not to pursue any leads, so I'm not the one who's going to be going out there investigating.
Why do you pursue leads? Because you are.
Well, the answer to that is because if we all knew what it was he really did to Jack and Lily, people would be pulling up ready to hang him from the lampposts. That's the easy answer. That's the reality of it.
No problem, John. Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
You're right.
You're still out there talking to people and finding out new details.
By pursuing leads, they mean if I have a lead, I don't track it down in person. But yeah, like, I'm still open to talk to the public. I have no fake accounts. I don't have anything that would be...
He doesn't have any what? Guys, so think about what it is he's insinuating when he answers that question. Guys, it's not like I have any fake accounts or anything. You can trust me. Like, what is it you're even bringing? What would make you bring that up in the first place in such a scenario like this? Unless it was you were doing it. You see the pattern with this fucking idiot? This guy, there's nobody out there that's buying your story, son. Oh, I'm just bringing all of these ideas. Just like Wolfie and Kent have all of these ideas. Durwood has all of these ideas, these alternate theories about reality. But we all know the reality of you. We all know the reality about you and what it is that you did to Jack and Lily. Why is it that you utterly refuse to answer such a simple question like your whereabouts and what it was you were doing on a particular hour, considering you've got no problem lying about everything else? Tells you that he's not all that perfect, good at lying. He's lying because he has to. And he's fucked up. He's tripped up. And now he's in front of the CBC trying to convince everybody the reason why he really gave himself away to RCMP at that point in time relies on the flawed logic that he presented you like a snake oil salesman. Man, you should go on tour and talk to RCMP everywhere and tell them that. Man, just how hard done by that you've been through in this circumstance, Daniel, is remarkable. Gosh, are you okay?
By pursuing leads, they mean if I have a lead, I don't track it down in person. But yeah, like, I'm still open to talk to the public. I have no fake accounts.
No fake accounts. Oh my God. Imagine all of these fake death threats that he's getting. I love those. Oh yeah, Daniel, just like to call and let you know that there's a death threat out there. We have to withhold who and where it's coming from, just to let you know. So the RCMP call to let you know just enough to make you paranoid, rather than tell you to watch out, tell you how to protect yourself. It's not how it goes. Not how a death threat comes in, Danny. Death threats come in one particular way, and it's a direct communication to you. To you. You're gonna find that out as soon as you get behind bars. There's gonna be plenty. So that's a leak as far as I'm concerned, to be the reason why he has to maintain this false persona.
I don't have
No fake accounts.
anything that would be not under my name. Like, I go fully into every comment with my name present. So I have nothing to hide. People are free to message me whenever, and people are free to...
So really, why does all of this have to do with your innocence, how open you're being, or what happened to Jack and Lily? What does any of that have to do? He's bringing it up and using it as something that should add credibility and put people's minds at ease as to how unrelated directly to this situation he is with Jack and Lily, as opposed to telling people that the RCMP can't clear me of any wrongdoing in this case because I'm the primary suspect. And it's a nonstop circus of weak assertions after that, almost comical. It's almost comical, the things that he expresses in these interviews. There's always something. And it's ridiculous. It's like you expecting us to believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny. We're going to have to suspend our own realities here and just believe that the kids are alive and Daniel has nothing to do with it. That's really what he wants to express to the world. Why would you want to, for that? Why would that consume your mind? Why would what people think consume you, Daniel, in that sense? He's already in jail in his mind. He's not free. He's going to sleep every night paranoid, angry, weak, looking for all kinds of things that could convince somebody of how innocent he is at any one point in time. I thought you were supposed to be looking for the kids, OJ. I thought you were never going to give up looking for Jack and Lily. How far could a 4 and a 6-year-old get in a matter of, what is it that you want us to believe, 20 minutes? It'll be pretty much impossible for somebody to come in there with any sort of vehicle and take them out underneath your nose. Whether you were high or not, it would be impossible. Especially with that angry dog that you had there. The one that dictated Janie's mental health. You want everybody to believe that the kids are just out looking for a good time and can be lured away with food and water? It's really describing a torture chamber.
Discuss anything they want with me. Any angle, any perspective that they have, I'm open to it. And I will pass it along to investigators if it's a solid perspective.
So he just described Mr. Controlling here. just described. Do you wanna block any girls from my friends list, Danny? Oh yeah, you guys have any updates or any sort of tips? Bring them Danny's way so he can sort through them and sanitize them, filter them, and send them on if he thinks that they're stand up. So he's placing himself ahead of real investigators in the situation. Think about how far in the shit you are, brother. Think about how far in the shit you are in this psychological conversation with the CBC interviewer and passing on like that's actually a good thing. Dude, you're fucking guilty and you're desperate. And the cops have to figure out what happened with you telling everybody on the CBC, through the CBC, just how helpful you're being. That's the real updates. Oh my God. Wow, that's such a great update. You told me all about the polygraph. You can't lie that well. It's why you stand out like a flashlight in this sea of reality. Danny.
Every tip matters. All
Every tip
800 and
matters.
almost 900 of them matter.
Do you find that engaging helps for you?
It doesn't help me mentally, that's for sure, but I still do it. I'm basically desensitized to all judgment at this point, so if anybody has...
Well, if you're desensitized to it, it wouldn't affect your mental health. You can't have it both ways. That's impossible. You've just explained yet another impossible scenario psychologically. Doesn't bother you, but it bothers you. It obviously bothers you. That's why you keep bringing it up like your mom. But you bring it up in a way that isn't genuine. It makes no sense whatsoever and isn't a true representation of an expression or an emotion that you're genuinely having. You're a poor liar, Danny. The drugs have made you that way.
anything, you can just come to me, or just, you can go to Major Crimes. You can go to your local police department. They'll pass.
You can come to Danny. You can come to me. You can take it to Major Crimes. You can go to any major police department. What sort of fantasy world does this asshole live in? It's funny how you keep placing yourself in these scenarios. No different than that drunk booze nose having fuckface Durwood. Darren Geddes. You guys know him? All you listeners from Nova Scotia? Hit that thumbs up, by the way. I know you're in here. Yeah, that's actually really funny, Jody Hines. Jody Hines. I've noticed old Danny boy flaps his arm in proportion to the BS level. His words are so weak that he is compelled to reinforce his speech with gesturing. Very telling. That's a really funny observation. Thank you. You're right. You're right. Oh, he must. You must be an actor. He's a thespian. Man, this is a one-man show, all right. Cheese and rice. Does he practice this, Julie says, then waits until he can inject his thoughts and take us all around the mulberry bush? Man, it's just so hard to watch somebody lie like this. Like it's borderline. Like, this is really reality TV. You're watching Daniel in the middle of committing a felony in this sense and trying to get away with it, but convincing you the whole time of just how innocent he is of any wrongdoing and everything, in a way that's evasive, deceptive. There's every classical red flag and statement analysis and behavioral indicators that would trigger any sort of analyst off to the fact that this guy, there's a real problem. The more that you become aware to the problem, they never stop coming. That doesn't change the fact of the matter for police and having to gather all of the information that would normally be important in this situation. It's just Daniel up here wanting to presenting reality as though anything that comes out of his mouth as the only possibility and the only truth, right? Whatever it is that they're saying, they're basing it off, and they've come out and said it, Janie and Daniel, that they're talking the truth in this situation. And in light of a situation where we have no idea where the kids are. So again, they're bringing some sort of finalization to what it is their role is in all of this. And they want us to believe this without wanting to attribute the fact that they know a lot more as to what happened than what they're willing to share in that sense, to put it in a nice way. I think he'll off himself before this is over. Well, I'm not going to stop him. I'll recommend a few places for him. You should broadcast it to the YouTube live stream, Danny. Now, Danny is way too much of a self-absorbed fucking loser than to do that. He's a coward. No, I don't think he will. He won't have the chance. No, it makes no sense. He would have done that, in my opinion, would have already happened. Like, it would have happened within, you know how family annihilations or annihilators work? They usually, like that tranny in Rhode Island the other day. He kills his kids, then kills himself in this sense. But Danny here is in a different situation where he didn't have any biological or genetic attachment to the kids in this circumstance and resented them. Treated them as lesser than animals in this circumstance, as an extension of Malaya, who has fallen out of favor of him for quite a while at that point, by the sounds of it. As soon as you started treating her the way that this escalated after your little honeymoon phase, your little romance period at Patty's, as soon as the relationship moved back to Janie's trailer and he had a reason to run her world because she was now pregnant with a child that he knocked her up with, a different Danny began to come out. There's not any thought put forward into this man's life whatsoever. Everything has to serve him. Do you think that he's going to bring harm to himself? God only hopes. I doubt it. He would have done that a long time ago if he was willing. He wouldn't have went to this extent to try to get away with all of this nonsense if he was looking just to finalize things personally. No. He's looking to get away with the whole enchilada and it not affect his life in a negative manner. This is why the lies are so important to him. This is a sociopath. This is a disturbing individual. He's going to be brought to justice, and then he's going to be brought justice while he's on the inside.
Pass along tips or Crime Stoppers. Because this whole situation has drug on for way too long, and it's absolutely destroying everyone involved.
So what does this tell you now that the cadaver dogs were in, they didn't find anything? Do you think like the part on the woods, do you think that's case closed?
It should be case closed. It should have been case closed from the very start. Because with the amount of resources and technology and amount of searchers and everyone deployed in that first initial search, that was a lot. That was an 8-kilometer radius outwards. And it's just the amount of money and people's time, injuries that were sustained during that. It's just, people should have just opened their eyes to see that we need to look elsewhere. I pointed many fingers, and I think that's where the people should look.
Not here.
Not here. Not in the woods. fingers have been pointed, let's start taking a look.
What's going through your mind as you see their picture every day still?
It's just heartbreaking to know that 5 months have passed and school started, the summer ended.
Oh yeah, it's like a Beach Boys song. Woo! I hear Brian Wilson in the background, Danny. Oh, summer's ending, school's beginning. Why the hell is he complaining about the amount of money being spent, JM saying? Because he's reciting things that the RCMP or the CBC or the news has updated, and he's bringing them up as talking points and using them as answers to questions that he wants to avoid directly. Well, Susie Mac doesn't have anything to do with fans of Daniel. Daniel's a fucking piece of shit. He's a child killer. Worse than that, he's a man that has an out of control urge to grape and take liberties with women that he comes in contact with, unsuspecting, unwitting participants, and more. Mm-hmm. And more. Can't take a look at your bracelets there, boy. What does that say? You're glorifying the disappearance, Kent. That is the question. Kids should be doing kids things. Where is this going, Danny?
Enjoying their lives as kids.
Ah,
you know,
kids.
like, it's not just all the kids that miss them from school and community, and, you know, at this point, the whole country that, you know they're missing. It's just like, I have kids too that.
What is it this asshole's trying to say? You're really stumbling your way through this, dude. Like, what is it you're trying to say here? What is it that Jack and Lily are missing out on? He just can't quite touch home there. He can't quite touch the reality of the situation. His mind won't let him dance back in to and fro in that sense. Must remain distanced. Something isn't allowing him to touch inside to his true emotions about the situation. I wonder what that could be. It's like stumbling over a series of partial statements, or in this case, we'll call it omissions. A series of omissions in effort to make a point. Can you imagine?
Know that they're missing too, and like, that's heartbreaking for them. Like, Meadow doesn't understand, but one day she will.
So what is it he's saying? So what is it you're trying to say to us? Again, failed to make a point. What are you so concerned about all your kids seeing in the future? You should have thought of that before you murdered those 2 kids. Not after. It's nothing that anybody else has to worry about. That's the subject matter. What you did. So really, you're sharing with the world that that's your primary reason for being here, is hoping that all of this speculation goes away. That's really what you maintain hope for. It's not going to go away. You just think that you're saying the right things to people, Danny. My most recent favorite part. The ABUSC, the most replayed portion of the CBC Nova Scotia interview. Latest with old Spammy here.
There have been
Bobblehead
allegations
spammy.
from Malaya's friends and family that you were abusive to her. Were you?
No.
They said that when she moved in with you, she cut off all contact with them and you monitored her phone.
She also monitored mine.
Whoop, fuck that one up. Whoops. Talk about a Christmas gift early for investigators. Why even bring this asshole into the station when these accumulate on your side? Well, that's really helping investigators paint a more clear picture of what's going on in the background, isn't it, Danny? And it's not just the words that you say, although that they're quite interesting as well. It's the fact that this is how you answer your questions. This is what happens with when Danny Boy is scrutinized. There's a sensitivity area behind that, and he's protecting himself from not very well. Your answer to all of this, your reasoning, is that she did it to you too. Well, you couldn't get any more dodgy than that. You can't avoid that situation any harder in a more deceptive manner. What does that have to do with the question, Danny? That's what the principal at school will ask you. That's not an excuse. Just because, if you're down here because you punched little Jack, or you punched little Malaya, we'll say, and your answer to all of this is, well, she did it to me too, which, by the way, is something that you've done, Danny. You've brought up to people about how Malaya was starting to get so physically abusive towards you to the end, but as a man, you just don't talk about things like that. But now you want to play the pussy boyfriend role. You want to play the beta male role now all of a sudden when you're under fire. You can't be alpha and play beta. This guy. You wanting everybody to know that he was a victim of physical abuse by way of Malaya in this circumstance, far ahead of everything in some of the communications that he's had by way of individuals that have contacted him.
We both had the same passwords on our phone. And her friends, she blocked her friends on my phone, and she blocked them on her own phone.
Wow, I wonder what the hell blocking has to do with a relationship that two people are in. How are you going to explain that one? Could you imagine him trying to explain this? Why don't you give a TED Talk on this there, Lance Romance? There is no doubt about it that there is an element of misogynistic control in all of this that is raking through. I'll just bet Malaya was just so possessive of you and your lifestyle that she insisted about blocking people on your phone. You might have told her to do that to make yourself feel better, but I don't believe the story. It's just... look at how you're using it here. You don't have a real answer to it. Your answer to everything is Malaya did that too. Again, with the victim blaming. And when it comes to physical abuse, Malaya would be your victim. Another consistent thing with this asshole. What's going on, Nasty Nathaniel? Y'all! This is a real tell into the type of things that we're going to expect in the future from, if we get anything from old Danny here. But I think that he's coming to realize that it's just not worth giving it up anymore. He's given up so much. How are you going to put that all back in the tickle trunk? How are you going to fix that now? This is what happens, dude. This is why, Danny, primarily when you commit crimes, any crime, even the worst of the worst in what you're guilty of here, which is unaliving on purpose, intentionally unaliving 2 stepchildren, Danny. Especially when you're guilty, you're going to want to shut up. You're going to want to not do what it is that you're doing in front of the camera. Danny's only narrow-minded rationale behind this is as, you know, when you don't know anything about psychology and you're just getting to learn, maybe you might have heard the term reverse psychology. That's simply what Danny's going with here. In fact, it's not even a real thing. He's just straight lying. Well, look at how open I'm being. Of course I can't be guilty of anything. How could you be guilty? How could you suspect me? The question is there's not one investigator out there that wouldn't be suspecting the people that were last seen with the 2 children who are now missing in the fucking world. Nobody. I mean, that's the whole reason you're an investigator, why you're a detective. But Daniel's priority is, in his intent the entire time, is to create the illusion of there's no reason to suspect him without giving us any genuine information at any point in time. He's camouflaging his absolute 100% suspicious ass. His guilty ass. Maria in Juneau, Alaska? Welcome, my darling. What a fantastic part of the world that sounds like. Oh, does he have his bracelets on, says Helicopter Grandma? He sure does. Kent, you're just such a forethinker. You're like the prince of the missing you're like the prince of the missing children circuit. You should work for the FBI. Julie says, don't underestimate him, how many months he has slithered and tweaked his way around stuff. Thus far, the abuse charges is all they could bring. I seriously hope it's part of a bigger plan. Well, it is. It is. And just simply you can measure that in relation to how you're getting to know about things in the case and how things really are in the case. Things aren't exactly as they appear. And the first person to tell us that was the dude who was doing the deceiving, Danny, on the CBC. Oh, there's so much more to this situation than meets the eye. There's so much more to this case, but I just can't speak on it. Any person who's placing themselves and speaking in a situation like that is hiding information in relation to the most important thing here, which is the whereabouts of Jack and Lily. It doesn't seem like they're a flight risk. Doesn't seem like old Danny's too itchy to get going any which direction. Danny, shouldn't you be about like moseying on down the road right now? Exit stage left. Let's get the hell on up out of here. Great time to move, if you know what I mean. Hey, what's that? Let me get the fuck out of here. You'd be setting off alarms at the border. He can't rip himself away from his addictions at his house. That's what's keeping him there. Everybody knows that. That's the one consistent thing that you can usually rely on with, unless they're international tweakers. Then if they're used to, like, some people, all they do is travel. You know, they don't have a fixed address. They just travel. Danny's not one of those. Danny likes to stay home, get high, stoke the fire, like he's doing right now. Oh yeah, Meep. Janie is going to prison long term. I can't wait till these trials start. Fucking right. It's going to be a pleasure seeing justice come Janie's way. this is a sad case of what true hate really looks like in people's hearts. And it comes down to hating themselves. But Janie and Danny and the crew, you can just detect the level of racism and ignorant way of portraying the situation since the get-go. It's another thing that doesn't get talked about enough. And it all comes from that trifecta of idiots. There is no reason to be incorporating anything else other than the individuals that were there just seconds ago with the kids. And the fact that they want you to think that this happened right in front of them. Somebody came right up there and took the kids from you. But you don't want to say it, Danny. If that really happened, you would be telling everybody from the start. You wouldn't have come to that determination over months of pretend searching in the bushes, bro. See, not once throughout this entire case have any of them prioritized Jack and Lily and been sheer desperate for them to come back. See, Belinda couldn't have hit the nail any closer with that. In pointing out that Malaya left Garlock Road. She knew that mother knew that they weren't coming back, Danny. It's not going to be really difficult for law enforcement to prove a lie here. And they tell you, when you wonder where police went with them or where they're interested in, it sticks out. It sticks out to you, and it's this timeline for the obvious reasons that we've sarcastically pointed out tonight. Same thing for them. There's no fixing that. There's no misunderstanding that. There's no clarification. There's no excuse for the things that we're seeing Daniel say in this circumstance. There's no, that means it must be somebody else in this circumstance. The more that he talks, the more that he looks guilty of this, responsible for it. No, I don't think that's true, Miss Queen Liz. I've got the paperwork up right here. But I don't think that there was a clarification. There is not a confusion over what time he was at the Dollarama. There was no confusion because they were seen on CCTV and they quoted that particular time. They didn't rely on the friend, or you're saying that the friend told them two different stories. I'm not sure about that. I should go down and look about that then. But not right now. I won't hold it against GMZ. I just have it up in the background. That's all.
Yeah, that's through the audio recordings.
There have been allegations from Malaya's friends and family that you were abusive to her. Were you?
No.
That's it. Just giving you the microphone. You'd think that you would have something to say about certain things like this. Not that I believe them, but that's the best response when it comes to statement analysis. But he's already being deceptive. Of course, we know that you were. It just tells you, I think, how serious he is, unwilling to talk about certain things. And that's very interesting in this circumstance. He wants you to believe the reason is that it's just so unbelievable, it's not worth approaching. And that one of those is his substance abuse. the fact that you're shown to have admitted extensive daily substance abuse, and that corroborated multiple different channels. Everybody knows about it right up until the search day. And that's the instigating factor as to what led to the fight at the end of the driveway, we'll call it there, fun boys. Yeah, I'd say it has everything to do with what happened to Jack and Lily. All examples of you guys lying all had to do with those sensitivity areas. Areas that you've both admitted that you had issues. And each time that you bring it up, it's never the same thing. It's always this overly specific thing in order to make it look like a particular thing is untrue rather than an alternative or the greater thing. Anyway, she's wearing 3-inch high heels. Who are you talking about, Linda or Lynn? Oh, I don't know. Oh, you're talking about the interviewer? I don't know about that.
They said that when she moved in with you, she cut off all contact with them and you monitored her phone.
She also monitored mine. We both had the same passwords on her phone. And her friends, she blocked her friends on my.
Yeah, Daniel, what are you saying, that she was making a pass at Daniel? She was flirting with him with her 3-inch heels? The chick from the CBC? I doubt it. They're at completely opposite ends of the social spectrum. See, she would be a high achiever, a person who isn't reliant on substances necessarily to get her through. Okay, certainly doesn't need to be flirting with the person that she is herself acting towards. Daniel, I'm sure she'll take it as a compliment, as little as that, she really requires it. How misogynistic look on things. He knows he's not, he knows, Meep says, he knows they're not in the woods, so they have to be in the water. Janie knows they're not in the woods. Yeah, well, you have to explain that a little more. Yeah, she does a good enough job talking that theory down in her mind, but again, why is an individual telling you all of the things that she doesn't believe happened, especially when it contradicts somebody's own story? That's just a time taker-upper. And she doesn't want to tell you what she thinks really did happen. She certainly doesn't want to focus on anything that would otherwise be pertinent or related to where Jack and Lily are at any one point in time. Anything else to divert your attention, whether it be what cars are what and why they would be relatable, who fucking cares? This son of a bitch did something to Jack and Lily. He tells us that. He's afraid of you being judgmental about that, because he doesn't think he's a bad person for having done that. He otherwise condones his violent acts in that sense. He doesn't think that he has to be held accountable to what it is that he did to Jack and Lily.
My phone, and she blocked them on her own phone.
So how would you
Thunder just
describe
went by in the
your
background.
relationship?
Middle of
Before
February, lightning and thunder here in
Yes.
London.
I don't really want to talk on that because I don't really want to talk on too much to do with Malaya. It's best that we don't.
Okay. And so you mentioned that there were some accusations about your past drug use.
So, well, then why are you talking about anything there, Danny? Better that you don't talk about Malaya. Well, that's going to be an issue. Now you're avoiding answering any questions. Well, that's going to be an issue. Well, what's going to be relevant? You can't talk about Malaya? What's next? You can't talk about Jack and Lily? You've pretty much said that, haven't you? Well, I can't say that. I can't share any more of the information that I have because it might interfere with your obfuscation of this investigation in reality. Oh, Danny boy. You hear that, Darren Geddes? You and your buddy Kent and your other buddy Rob Haynes, if that is his real name. Probably not, by the way. I just want you to know one thing. I want you to lean in real close and turn it up, friend.
You are a douchebag.
Absolutely.
Shut your fucking mouth!
I've read some things about it being drug use that week, the week the children went missing. Is there any truth to that?
No.
I'm surprised that he didn't start throwing hands there. Last time somebody brought that up, they were kicked off of the Garlock Road property by Janie. DM in other chats has even said he won't discuss the kids disappearing because he has already been cleared as a suspect. Trailhiker says, all BS, he cleared himself. Yeah. Oh, yeah? You're walking around. Bring me those screenshots. No. The RCMP would sure let everybody know they tried to clear you, but they couldn't clear you because you couldn't take the test properly. You were too fucking nervous to clear you, dude. Why would they be clearing your name and you were shitting your pants over taking the test? Oh, boy.
Shut the fuck up, you cunt!
I didn't have any drugs. And Major Crimes knows that. Or they would have, charged me with possession of drugs or drug paraphernalia. There was nothing at the house. So,
Yeah, nothing at the house. Not that I would never use a substance like that, nor have I ever used a substance. I don't know where these allegations are coming from. Hey, it's as simple as that. They didn't see anything, or else they would have charged me with this and that. We all know how your logic fucking rolls, Danny. You're wrong again, by the way. It's not exactly how it would go, is it?
they know that.
What is your history in terms of the drug use? What would you like to share, just to clear the air?
I did not have any drugs. People thought I was.
Your history. Anything that you'd like to clear in regards to any of the things that people are saying about you? Think about all the shit that he comes up with. He's picking little, like 4 things which are really overly descriptive, we'll say. It doesn't mean anything. Danny, we know you're a tweaker, bro.
Was doing drugs during the search? Absolutely not. I don't owe any drug dealers money. I don't owe anyone drugs. I'm not a drug dealer. I don't manufacture drugs. Can't really speak on anything more than that, I
Those
guess.
have been all the accusations
Yeah.
made at you.
That I have,
We can't really speak on anything more than that. Right. Didn't expect him to tell the truth, did we? I mean, what is it we expect? It's just Danny being a zipperhead. He's up there doing a lot of talking, but not really saying anything in the first place. What does that tell you? Oh, he didn't even push Kent's bracelets or his window stickers.
manufacture drugs, sell them. I give them to people to sell. It's
There was
crazy.
no drug party that night.
No, there was no drug party. There was no leaving during the middle of the night. When we pulled into the yard on Thursday afternoon, it would have been about 3:50 or just right before 4 o'clock. The vehicle did not move till the next morning until I got in it and then went searching for Lily and Jack that morning when Malaya was on dispatch or contact.
So the only car that he's talking about in this circumstance is the 2017 Nissan Pathfinder, not any of the other ones. Interesting that you wouldn't differentiate for everybody to ease everybody's mind. It's amazing how Janie and Daniel initially lied to police with what should have been very easily things to remember about their days. They had to have follow-up interviews in order to get the timeline straight because they think that they got mixed up between days. Oh, yes, maybe we weren't. Oh, I just couldn't remember. Bullshit. First of all, with Daniel, just erase bedtime altogether. He doesn't sleep. Danny's up all of the time because he's a tweaker.
Back to dispatch.
How have all of these allegations impacted you?
At the start, it didn't bother me because they're obviously all not true. You know, basically anyone can just go on there and say whatever they want without any recourse at all. And over time, you know, it started to get to me because it's just constant, right? I tried to keep up on it all and tried to, you know, tell everyone the truth.
So this is fairly consistent of a problem that you've had personally with all these things that random people are saying about you. This is what bothers you, not the fact that the kids are missing. There's nothing in relation to anything related to Jack and Lily missing that sticks out to him, but rather all of the things, or specifically one thing, because everybody are implementing you in criminal activity. You chose to unalive 2 kids and dispose of their bodies and then turn and cover it up and obstruct justice, bitch. Coming up on 2 hours, friends. We're going to shut it down and leave you all with some G-Funk. We've got a storm going overhead now, and it's lightning and thunder, which is very bizarre for this time of year. But we're going to shut it down, and we'll be back again tomorrow, y'all, to keep this talk going. This train of shit talk. We'll leave you with a little G-Funk before we do. Good and good, good and good, good and good.